The mothers of its parts. Ron never really liked women. He liked to fuck them, but that's hardly the same thing. He did marry one, had a kid with her, and did a lot of overtime to get out of the house. Then Ron got bored, met a younger slut at work, fucked her until his wife found out, divorced him, and got full custody of the brat Ron didn't love anyway, but fought for just to make life tough for the no-good bitch. She didn't even care about my feelings, Ron told his therapist. A woman therapist? Fuck her. After that, Ron got into the manosphere, accelerationism, chatted for a time with a few members of the Atomwaffen division, who turned him on to Crowley, Anton LaVey, then the Order of Nine Angles, and the occult is where Ron finally found himself. He started researching. At first, the talk of demons seemed ridiculous, metaphorical at best. Then he tried psychedelics and met one. That scared the doubt right out of him. He dug into history, hermetics, demonology. He met transhumanists and antinatalists and people who believed consciousness was a cosmic mistake, or that it didn't exist at all. He found one day in an old book on archive.org instructions for summoning a demon. And not just any demon, but the Ur-demon, Gangrut. The instructions required time and human sacrifices. Ron abducted his first woman from an underground parking garage, chloroformed her, drove her to a shack he'd built in the woods. Then he conducted the ritual, and several weeks later, her pregnancy began to show. 9 months later, he cut out of her a fully formed and beating heart. 10 kilograms it weighed. The woman died, and he buried her remains in the woods. He submerged the heart in a nearby swamp, as the instructions said. He then abducted and ritually impregnated 7 more women, one each to birth the lungs, liver, bladder, kidneys, stomach, intestines, and brain. When it was done, the women dead and buried, the 8 organs sunken in the swamp, he began the final part of the summoning, the drowning of 12 virgins. How hatefully he held each one under as swamp water saturated its young and innocent lungs. Next, he recited the words. The swamp began to bubble, the bubbles to rise and pop. The popping became a gargle, and the gargle sounds and the sounds Ron understood as the language of the demons, and in understanding, he knew he had been initiated. Gangrut rose out of the evaporating bog. "My lord, my darkest king," Ron exclaimed in ecstasy. "But I am no king," Gangrut hissed. Her black, sinuous, disentangling body a coalescence of human parts and mud and roots and frogs and snakes and terror and... Ron screamed. But Queen, origin of all demons, and she drove the seed of horror into his mind, freezing time in him at the moment of its blossoming. Then she revived the 20 who had died for her, the mothers of her parts, and together they commenced the destruction of mankind.